I don't want to stay here. Please don't leave me here. Even Rose tugged his mother's hand, trying to pull her away from the front stoop of the small, grey shingled house. Mrs. Rose turned to him, an impatient frown on her face. Evan, you are 12 years old. Don't act like an infant, she said, freeing her hand from his grasp. I hate when you say that, Evan exclaimed angrily, crossing his arms in front of his chest. Softening her expression, she reached out and ran her hand tenderly through Evan's curly carrot colored hair. And I hate when you do that, he cried, backing away from her, nearly stumbling over a broken flagstone in the walk. Don't touch my hair. I hate it. Okay, so you hate me, his mother said with a shrug. She climbed up the 2 steps and knocked on the front door. You still have to stay here till I get back. Why I can't come with you? Evan demanded, keeping his arm crossed. Just give me one good reason. Your sneakers isn't tied, his mother replied. So, Evan replied unhappily, I like am untied. You will trip, she warned. Mom, Evan said, rolling his eyes in exasperation. Have you ever seen anyone trip over his sneakers because they were untied? Well, no, his mother admitted, a smile slowly forming on her pretty face. You just want to change the subject, Evan said, not smiling back. You are going to leave me here for weeks with a horrible old woman, and Evan, that's enough, Mrs. Rose snapped, tossing back her straight blonde hair. Catherine is not a horrible old woman. She is your father's aunt, your great aunt, and she is total stranger. Evan cried. He knew he was losing control, but he didn't care. How could his mother do this to him? How could she leave him with some old lady he hadn't seen since he was 2? What was he supposed to do here all by himself until his mother got back? Evan, we have discussed this 1,000 times, his mother said impatiently, pounding on his aunt's front door again. This is a family emergency. I really expect you to cooperate a little better. Her next words were drowned out by Trigger, Evan's cocker spaniel, who stuck his tan head out of the back window of the rented car and began barking and howling. Now he's giving me a hard time too, Mrs. Rose exclaimed. Trigger raised his head and began to bark, hopping backward on his hind legs with each bark. Startled, Evan's mother spun around, nearly stumbling off the small stoop. Evan gaped in silent horror at the knife. A smile formed on Catherine's face, and she pushed open the screen door with her free hand. She wasn't anything like Evan had pictured. He had pictured a small, frail-looking, white-haired old lady, but Catherine was a large woman, very robust, broad-shouldered, and tall. She wore a peach-colored house dress and had straight black hair, pulled back and tied behind her head in a long ponytail that flowed down the back of the dress. She wore no makeup, and her pale face seemed to disappear under the striking black hair, except for her eyes, which were large and round and stilly blue. I was slicing beef, she said in a surprisingly deep voice, waving the blood-stained kitchen knife. She stared at Evan. You like beef? Ah, Yeah, he managed to reply, his chest still fluttery from the shock of seeing her appear with the raised knife. Catherine held open the screen door, but neither Evan nor his mother made any move to go inside. "He's big," Catherine said to Mrs. Rose. "A big boy. Not like his father. I used to call his father Chicken, because he was no bigger than a chicken." She laughed as if she had cracked a funny joke. Mrs. Rose, picking up Evan's suitcase, glanced uncomfortably back at him. "Yeah, he is big," she said. Actually, Evan was one of the shortest kids in his class, and no matter how much he ate, he remained as skinny as a spaghetti noodle, as his dad liked to say. "You don't have to answer me," Catherine said, stepping aside so that Mrs. Rose could get inside the house with the suitcase. "I can't hear you." Her voice was deep, as deep as a man's. And she spoke clearly, without the indistinct pronunciation that some deaf people have. Evan followed his mother into the front hallway, Trigger yapping at his heels. "Can't you get that dog quiet?" his mother snapped. "It doesn't matter. She can't hear it," Evan replied, gesturing towards his aunt, who was heading to the kitchen to put down the knife. Catherine returned a few seconds later, her blue eyes locked on Evan, her lips pursed as if she were studying him. "So you like beef?" she repeated. He nodded. The next part of this story will be streaming the day after tomorrow. Within this time, stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe this channel and put a comment just right below the comment section.